Hey everybody, I'm making this video message for married couples only. Married couples only. If you are a married man or a married woman, this video message is for you. Share it, like it, comment, whatever you guys choose to do. So I'm making this particular video message for all of you beautiful married couples because at one point in my life, I got married. When I was in my early 20s, shortly after I graduated from high school, I did get married and I stayed married for 10, almost 11 years. So I was a baby when I got married and I stayed married for a really long time. And it's something that I noticed that many married couples do. And I know a lot of married couples do it because I would hear married couples talk about it. I was guilty of doing it, but I also saw as time went on how destructive it could be. Let me tell you guys what I'm talking about. Have you guys ever heard the term makeup sex? I know all of you all out there have heard the term makeup sex. So, for those of you who are not knowledgeable about what makeup sex is what couples do when they are angry at each other. When a situation has happened between the two of them, no matter, I guess, what the situation is or what the situation was that they were arguing about or beefing about, or they stopped speaking to each other about, they will come together and have sex. And having sex is that couple's way of saying, baby, I'm sorry. Whatever we were arguing about is not bigger than us. Whatever we were beefing about is not more important than us. Whatever we were not speaking to each other on is not worth us to continue to be apart, walk past each other in the house, ignore each other's text messages and phone calls. For each one of you married couples, having makeup sex and the reason you have makeup sex, it varies for every couple. But let me just tell you guys this. You must be very wise in having makeup sex. And I'm saying be wise because you don't want to lose focus or get distracted on what the issue was that had you and your spouse arguing in the first place. Now, a lot of you all, you're not going to catch that. Let me further explain. There is nothing wrong with having makeup sex. Even the Bible talks about when a couple is not together or when a couple has a period of separation, they should quickly come together so the enemy will not set in. Even with fasting, God talks about in his word how, when you're done doing that, you need to quickly come back together with your spouse because the enemy can start coming in to try to tempt you. But what I want you guys to understand is that makeup sex is good, it's okay, and you should be bonded with your spouse. But what a lot of couples begin to do is they use the makeup sex or sex period as a band-aid to what the deeper rooted issue was or to what the issue is, period. And every time one person in the marriage has the actual issue or there is a dilemma and they confront or come to their spouse about the situation, then they will manipulate their husband or their wife by having sex. My video message is to tell you guys, do not do this. If you are a married man or woman, at some point you must address the issue that you and your husband or you and your wife continue to fall out about. You cannot continue to use sex or lust and seduction as a way to wash away what the issue is. Because let me just tell you guys something. I'm going to expose something about myself because I know other people, they're not quick to expose themselves. But I'm going to tell you something that I did in my marriage. When I was married and there was an issue that I had with my husband, he would want to have the makeup sex. Okay, that's fine. But the thing about it is that after the sex was over and we got out the bed, I secretly would still harbor and hold that unforgiveness, that rage, and that anger and that irritation towards my man about something that he repeatedly kept doing. And so what I'm saying is that you as a married man or woman, nothing should be off limits as far as what you all discuss. See, married couples sometimes have this thing where they feel like disagreeing is not healthy. It's not unhealthy. It's about how are you approaching your spouse? How are you approaching your spouse? Are some of you all going to your spouse and you're cussing at them? Are you calling them out of their name? Are you just charging at them as soon as they come in the door from work and you haven't kissed them, you haven't hugged them, you have not asked them how their day was? If you are approaching your husband or your wife in that aggressive, rude, and uncouth manner, then that's a problem. But if you go to your husband or your wife and say, you know what, babe, it's something that you're doing or it's an issue we have within our marriage and we really need to talk about it. We really need to address it because how I feel about it and what I think about it and my hurt and my pain and irritation with you about this particular thing, it's not going away, babe. We have to address it. Maybe we should implement counseling. Maybe we need to go to the pastor at our church. There is something we need to do. Maybe we need to go on a vacation and get away from the kids and get away from work and our home that's familiar to us and go somewhere out the country, and then we'll feel more comfortable and at ease to have a discussion about what is the wall that's between you and I. You all don't want to go to your husband or your wife like this. And what happens is that if you have a partner, if you have a husband or a wife that is manipulative, one of the things they do to manipulate you is having sex with you. Have you guys ever experienced that? Hit the comment section if you've experienced that with your husband or wife. And if you are a little embarrassed or you don't want to discuss that, that's fine. You guys can email me if you choose. I always tell you guys it's open if you guys want to personally contact me or DM me or whatever. And just know that when you guys email me and contact me, everything you guys send me and discuss with me, it is kept very private, and all of you all's emails and text messages and DMs are protected. So you never have to worry about them getting out of anything. I stay on top of that. But what I'm saying is that you guys cannot keep using sex as a band-aid. Because I remember a guy said to me some years ago, we were at work or something, I think on Facebook, having a discussion about something similar. And he said, well, it doesn't matter what issue happened with me and my wife, Kiki. The whole thing is when we had sex, we forgot about what it was and we didn't care about it. Okay, maybe for that particular couple, they no longer cared about what the issue was. And maybe the issue was not a major issue. But as for me and other couples that I know personally, there have been very big issues within their marriage. And when they go to their spouse about it and they're bringing it up or they're making reference to it, their spouse will get upset and say, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to talk about that. You keep talking about the same thing. I don't want to discuss that. I feel the way I feel about it. You feel the way you feel about it. I'm done with it. And then they'll go days and weeks without speaking to each other. They will start doing petty stuff like ignoring one another's text messages and phone calls. You know, they humping. I said humping. They, sighing like, muttering stuff under their breath and just acting like children because that issue is not addressed. And what their spouse will do is, once they see the tension is there, and once they see that their husband or wife cut them off and is not speaking to them, they become uncomfortable with that. So when it's time to go to bed, or when they catch their spouse alone, they kiss them on the ear, they kiss them on the neck, they, approach them when the kids are not around or in bed, they touch their foot, or they do little things, and that's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. That's beautiful if you all are doing this. Always connect with your husband or your wife. Don't spend a lot of time not talking to them. But what I'm saying is that don't manipulate your husband or your wife with sex. When there is a hardcore issue that needs to be addressed, people, you need to not use sex as the BandAid to make your husband or wife forget about the issue that they're confronting you about. Some of you all as married couples, you have an issue with your husband or your wife being irresponsible with finances. You have an issue with your husband or your wife drinking. Their drinking is out of control. You have an issue with your husband or wife. They continuously cheat on you and you continuously catch them. You have an issue with your husband or your wife because they keep going to outside people discussing the inner workings of your marriage. You have an issue with how your other half is raising the children, or how they talk to them, or how they discipline them. You guys are arguing about the religion and the God that each of you chooses to worship, or maybe you have a partner that does not want to worship God. They might be a Buddhist and they don't want to go to church with you, and that's causing conflict. And when you bring that up, they don't want to talk about it, so you ignore them and stop talking to them. And when they come to you a couple of days later, or whenever they decide to, they connect with you with just sex. At some point, people, married couples, every single beautiful married couple that is watching me, don't use sex as a BandAid to heal real issues in your marriage. It's beautiful. Don't stop having sex with your husband or your wife. You should not be in a sexless marriage. A lot of you all get married, you stop having sex. That's not good. That is not good. And that does leave room for the enemy to come in. But what I'm telling you guys is that don't manipulate your husband or your wife sexually. They're not going to forget about it. I don't care how good your sexual performance is. I don't care what you're doing to them in that bedroom and how sweet you talking to them. At some point, that sex is going to stop. You guys are going to have your orgasm, and you are going to have to get out the bed and get back to reality and get back to life. And guess what? When your husband or wife is at work and you keep manipulating them with sex, after sex is over and they by themselves and they back at work in the office, or they at church, or they hanging out with their friends or family, trust me and believe me when I tell you, in the back of their mind, they're still going to be thinking about that deep-rooted issue that they have with you. That's my video message. And I say this, guys, in love. I come to you all with these situations and issues and controversial topics because I want you to be uncomfortable. I have more, and it's going to get more tense here. I've lost probably like 50 subscribers within like the last week or two. And guess what? I'm not mad about it. Honey, good riddance. It was nice while you were here. You served your time and your season. You are not for me. I am not your vibe. You are not in agreement with what I speak on, or you have a skewed perception of who I am and what I offer, and you don't want to hear me anymore. You can flip another YouTube channel. That's fine. God bless you, and I still love you. But guys, that's what my video message is. And remember, if you guys are angry with me, you will forgive me in the morning.